Jatetor, Balsukoi Nervore. Welcome to Under the Helm, Season 3, Episode 17.
And for those who don't know, we are doing the new song.
Yeah, so the Mandalore band has dropped their newest single called It's Not Over, and that will be the end song for October. So, pretty much,
Oh, I
Knaf
like
pretty
that.
much nailed it. I used their newest song for the podcast song, the monthly featured song is whatever their newest one is. We still use the intro for This Is the Way when we start, but at the end of the podcast, I just post their entire song.
Nice.
So, Tenet 10 is a Mandalorian must remain loyal to the Way and their brothers and sisters of the Way. This signifies the Mandalorian loyalty to the Way and our brothers and sisters under the helm. More specifically, it represents the idea that commitment to the religion of the Way is not something to be taken lightly. Being a Mandalorian cannot be a holidays only faith. It does not mean blind devotion without thought. We're not zealots, even though I'm sure we will have our zealots eventually, or I'm sure we do. But rather, a religion that must be treated as seriously as a part of one's identity. Hello, alien. Likewise, loyalty to our brothers and sisters under the helm does not mean to condone every action by a fellow Mandalorian. Rather, it means that a Mandalorian should remain watchful of their fellows and help them remain true to the way, and be willing to speak out against those who stray. None are above question. Additionally, this means a Mandalorian should be willing to help guide others in the way and aid them to the best of their ability in weapons, self reliance, unarmed self defense, and other matters crucial to keepers of the way. And Zell, I believe you said you have the translated version, at least of the tenet itself, ready to go. So if you wouldn't mind, take it away, Zell Namore.
Tenant or Tenant 10, the 10th action. Tereshish Na. The Mandalorian must remain loyal to the Way and their brothers and sisters of the Way. Ain Mandoade, Inteyo, or Ain Mandoade, Inteya, Kuyolir, Barburish, Bate Runi, Bal, Balval, Vode, Te, Te Runi. This is the way. Ibikruni.
Ibikruni. So when it says it's not blind devotion without thought, like I said, we're not zealots. Even though we will have zealots and we have to be
Okay.
mindful of them. We have to try to tone them back a little bit when they get too zealous for the faith. Oh, good
Sorry.
example was a couple months ago we had a particular VOD who was thinking everybody was out questioning their actions. Like they're not Mandalorian enough to be a keeper. That wasn't the case. We're not sure why that VOD was acting like that.
To be honest, in regards to that whole like someone is not Vode or basically taking one's Mando card away, honestly, none of us have the right to do such a thing.
No.
Exactly.
Everybody is Vode. Everyone should be seen as Vode,
Correct.
whether they
I see
are
it.
following the way or not. one should see them as Vode.
And if we see a Vod or Vode who are straying from the path, we need to help guide them back to the way.
Or find out what is happening.
It, in the same manner. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. This tenant, I'm gonna. Sorry if it. I feel like I'm about to hijack this a bit with this tenant
Go right
because
ahead.
I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot going on in our community that I wish to speak about. That, and I'm not going to be using any names or anything like that. And I ask none of y'all to say names as well. If a VOD, if VODE are saying things that go against the tenant, it is very much something that should be spoken about in regards to telling them, hey, VOD, that's not right. That is not the way. And if they continue to do such things, it needs to be brought up to others. Be like, hey, I need help with this VOD.
Right.
They're breaking one of the tenets. Another thing is, regardless of position or title, nobody, as it says, nobody is above questioning. Regardless of position or title, nobody is without, anybody can be questioned.
Right. It could be a member
When
of the
they're,
board of directors, or it could be the newest foundling coming into the faith.
mm, I see a lot of the times where um, this tenant isn't fully understood in that regard. Because I've seen Vade, and a lot of it is actually between our Facebook and Discord groups, those who are only on Facebook, those who are only on Discord and whatnot. That, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Keepers do not have a good view for those outside of us, and that's not something we want or should be wanting.
I would actually
Because
like you to elaborate on that a little bit on what you mean by. Are you talking about the outside in view of Mandalorians or the inside out view?
I've seen it both ways, honestly. I've seen where Vaude think themselves better or higher than those who don't claim to be keepers of the way, as though they're superior. And I've seen, because of such actions, that whenever someone from outside the faith interacts with a keeper, they don't have a good opinion of us because of such things. There have been.
Do
I
you
am
have,
not. I am not attacking anyone,
without
but
saying names, do you have examples of what you're talking about?
I'm actually about to use one. And no, I'm not attacking anyone or
No,
anything of the
I
sort.
get that.
I'm putting that there because others have given suggestions for this. But with the whole hurricane disaster that just happened recently, call for aid was given out for another Vode, but the way that it was worded, it felt very specific towards keepers and not as a call for everybody kind of thing. And when suggested to make it more neutral and more inclusive to everybody and not so secluded, the VOD started accusing of being attacked, or like their faith was being it was an attack on the faith, when that wasn't the case.
Was it
I
in
can
server
elaborate.
or was it outside of server that this?
It would have been outside of server.
Okay.
Yeah. What I speak of is secondhand, but because of that, because of how it was initially worded, because it was posted in other Mandalorian groups, those not of the faith see that and see that it's keepers related and pull themselves away,
Right.
being like, even though it was meant to be a let's get some help, this is what I'm currently doing kind of thing. Um,
And it's really
because,
unfortunate, even the way that I'm not going to speak politically on it, but the way that the government is handling that is ridiculous.
mm,
Where money is being sent outside of the country instead of internal rebuilding is it's unacceptable. I'm just going to go out and say it's
I
unacceptable.
I agree with that, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Luckily,
But
that is something that is bipartisan. That's not a one side of the
mhm,
aisle or not. That's
yeah, but to get back with this topic of loyalty to the way and your Vode, it does not just mean Vode of the way, but one should treat everyone as a Vode and try to do right by them, regardless.
I think this would actually go in
All,
with the judge not by actions
This one most certainly does
because we don't want
coincide with
to. I know it's the portion of it that says this
that.
signifies the way and our brothers and sisters under the helm, but we also want to make sure that we're not discriminating at the same time,
We're
regardless
isolating
of
ourselves from others.
exactly. We're not only helping Mandalorians; we're helping Christians, Jews, Islam. Yes, we need to
Sikhs,
remain
anyone.
loyal to the way, but we also need to go out of our way to help others.
We don't discriminate just because they're not vote.
Correct.
Mm.
As you said earlier, we're not zealots.
And nor do we want to be.
No.
I mean, we're good. Let's just be honest. Every religion is a cult. We're going to be called cult.
They all start like that. That's just how it goes.
Right.
Natural evolution.
And it's hard to get
Christianity,
away
Catholicism,
from that
all
stigmatism.
of them.
We are way still in our infancy. I mean, we're only what 3-4 years old tops
We're still in prenatal.
Yeah.
in the
We
in the
don't have a
terms of
lot.
religion. Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting on a lot of stuff to come through and to be developed. And that's why I chose that term, because it's not a bad term. It's just that's where we're at.
Right.
Right?
Uh,
Outward is important.
just a couple of updates that I know about is we're I don't know how close we are, but work is still being done on our Book of the Faith. Clan system is being worked on. Again, I don't know how close to completion these are, but just personal knowledge that they're being worked on. So it's not like it's like, hey, we'll get to it when we get to it. There are things that are actively getting worked on, and I don't know any detail other than that. So don't try to ask. Not something I'm
Yep,
actively a part
that
of.
is the intel that's usually given, and ambiguity is good, but sometimes a little sample of what's coming down the pipe might be nice. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'll see if I can get some examples. I may not be get specific, but just a
Right, sometimes
general paint stroke of what's going on, like how close these things are. I'll see if I can get that for us.
or like a quote or like a verse or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
A taste, and it assures folks that hey, things are being worked upon.
An
And
excerpt.
hopefully, I'll have something by the next podcast. How about that?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, because
It's
this is
just
also this is also
Yeah.
a thing I'm interested in knowing too.
Right.
it's
I
also
mean,
been causing
everybody
a
is.
lot of. Well, it's one of many topics that keeps coming up in the group, right? So,
Right. Because I know in the
and as when I say these things, then like I know I come off rash a lot of the time.
okay, Mando Pariah.
But a lot of the time it's not good.
Right. No, I get what you're saying, and I want to put that out there that work is getting done on these things because it was put into the our PR group chat that people are asking about these in the server, and I don't remember any specific reply. I just remember from like a month or two ago that these things are getting worked on. Like I remember one podcast we were talking about the clan structure, and I got the reply that they're actually pretty close to rolling it out, but I haven't seen anything since then.
Well, if they're that close, it's probably all just spit and polish that takes the time now.
Probably, at least on that. The book,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about, but those are two things that we desperately need as a faith, because part of the clan system is going to be the coverts, the places of worship, and that goes into the book of the faith. Those are three things that we need as a religion. And then something that came up with the with what Zell was lightly talking about is how do we go about distributing funds to those who are affected by natural disasters and such. And something I learned is that it has to be a board of director member that is actually dispensing it.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Zell. I know you were part of that conversation too.
Mm-hmm. So basically, in regards to situations like that, it boils down to when funds are distributed for religious assistance such as that, it basically comes down to the treasurer is in charge of such funds, of making sure that they are properly accounted for and tracking of where it is going.
Right. And the other part of that conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, is damn, I just lost my train of fucking thought on that one. Shit. Oh,
Off the rail.
yeah, it did. Train's over here, station's way the fuck over there, and it got lost. I think the biggest portion of what, besides that we just don't have that much to be able to spend right now because all of it's going into our legal processes, is and there it goes again. I'm trying to jumpstart my train of thought, and it's just not working.
The Ritalin
Most
Okay, you know
most
what?
of the funds that we have.
I'm gonna open Messenger so I can actually read that conversation again. That
I was going to say, you want me to take a crack at it, Kando or Kadali?
I'll say, wait a minute, I'm Kando now. Yeah, please help me out.
So basically, so far, the money that people have been generous enough to donate through the Patreon is currently all being directed towards our legal fees to get us as 100% legal and up to snuff as a religion as any other religion, such as Christianity, Muslim, or Islam, um, Judaism, and so on and so forth. at least in the eyes of the US. Granted, we already have our tax exempt forms, which is basically the first step. There's a few other steps that are still needing to be taken to be put in place. That way, should something that a vote does in keeping with the way gets questioned as to why it is that you're doing this, we have the legal backing of her basically the First Amendment or under religious guidance. This is what I am to do, or this is what I am to do in regards to religion, of being, whether it be armored in public, armed as well, uh, things of that nature, whenever a vote has to act in regards to the defense of another, when asked, why did you do it? Well, because my faith requires me to do as such. We have the legal backing of, here is all the paperwork and everything showing that our faith is the real faith, not just cult and not recognized.
Right.
So
And
this is why I couldn't find the conversation in the PR group, because it was actually in the guild chat that this conversation was going on.
Mhm.
And I'm almost to the top of the conversation.
But when talking about us being in our infancy as a religion, this is actually one of the most delicate times for a faith, because the beginning is how everyone is seeing us, and
Yep.
whether or not people wish to continue to follow or will how they interact with us. As I said, right now, because of some actions of Vade, we're currently not very looked at favorably from certain individuals that we really should be seeing as Vade, and not just like, oh, you're outside the faith. That's not how we should be looking at others.
Right.
It should not be us and them. It's everybody is Vade.
We'll say that there's like certain things that have been going down that might cause the eyes of certain figures to pop up if things aren't handled quietly, or quietly, I guess delicately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I gotta scroll back down.
The tricky
But
part with our situation is because that we do have weapons and armor as part of the belief structure. I mean, that puts it at a higher likelihood of ending up on certain lists. Catch my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And certain
Oh, yeah.
behaviors, both online and offline, can attract that attention. I've been seeing a lot of stuff that lately that could be doing just that same thing without under a different, like unintentionally bringing heat, as we would say.
Unwanted attention.
Mm-hmm.
okay, so back to the conversation I was thinking of. I finally found it. And the conversation was, other than raising awareness and encouraging people to help, not really much that we could do, because we don't have any sort of pull or monetary sources to draw from. We're still too small, unfortunately. The church might be too small, but couldn't we do a collection style no matter how small the amount? If we do it that way, we have at least a couple hundred people, even if they say can only donate $2 a piece, that would still add up quickly. That would be a couple hundred, $400, $500. Someone mentioned maybe putting a link in the Discord for people to find, like an emergency relief channel of some kind. Uh, then we had someone from the PR group, Matt Fox. Can't remember what his. I think no, that's not Swordfish. Can't remember what his Discord handle is right
Fox
now.
Forge?
Yeah,
Yes, he's a good dude.
he is. No, that okay. Yeah, he was replying to someone's comment. The problem with doing something like that is like Zell said, where would the money go? We have no infrastructure to speak of, and that's what I was trying to remember is this part. And you'd think it would add up quickly, but it took the board of directors 5 months and numerous incentive levels just to raise the $3,000 for the initial legal fee.
Yeah.
And then that person replied back, "True, I get it. I've had to use GoFundMe for a surgery before, and that was like pulling teeth to get people to donate to that." Which is honestly why I haven't used it to get a new printer. Because I've seen several people go through the tooth pulling of getting one started and getting people to actually donate to it. Okay, here's the second reply from Matt. That still leaves the question of where money would go. Our financial infrastructure is non-existent outside of the official church account. We have no coverts or local churches or clergy where the money could go and distributed from. Specifying any one individual or family is just another one of the multitudes that are already out there, with all the scams already popping up in parentheses. That's what he meant when he said we're still too small.
Yeah.
And then maybe directly to the VOD themselves that Zell was talking about. They're already on the ground and can do wonders with some temporary foundling. At least if they had the funds, they could choose how to best help with said funds, i.e., putting it towards a Mason Lodge, or needs to help directly with people under his care and due to lack of ability kind of thing. And then reply from the board, no, I get it, but from a legal and official view, no one outside of the board of directors has any official standing at this time. So that's where I said only the board of directors would be able to actually manage where the money went. Because, yeah, we might have roles and permissions in Discord servers or Facebook groups, but that's all it is, roles and permissions. It's not actually any legal standing in the group.
Right. We don't have deacons. We don't have.
Right. We don't have clergy.
Right.
And that's part of the things that are going into
That we're
work.
working on.
Right. And actually, let's text the group right now and see if we might be able to get an answer. I'm gonna type in, "Hey, so the question has came up in the podcast about progress on clans, clergy, and coverts. Can I give an update, please?" And we'll see who or how long it takes to get an answer to that question. We'll see.
I bet you Swordfish is going to answer first.
Yeah. Eric's quick about that.
The three that talk in here most are Kraz, Byron, and Sword. Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of myself and Zell, anyways.
Yeah, I just, when I see, personally, in regards to this tenant and what I see with what's happening amongst our community as Mandalore, as Bode, and everything,
And I'd
it
post
brings
another
up real
question, the Book of the
concern.
Faith. Sorry, Zell, I didn't mean to talk over you. But I remembered the other question is the Book of the Faith for progress. So I added that into the question.
Because, I mean, another thing that I see in regards to in our faith is, and this is on the Discord site because that's where most of my time is, spent when interacting with members is what is or isn't part of the faith when it comes to like armor, uh, weapons, and so on and so forth. And it's like I see a lot of, well, yes, it is, but no, it isn't, and back and forth, or like, in order for it to be classified as this, it needs to do this. But in regards to some of those things, it's like not all of that applies to everybody. A lot of that only applies for those who are here in America.
Right.
Because, like, with what is armor, I can't agree with, in order for it to be classified as armor under the faith, it has to be ballistics.
But then again, it's also been stated that a plate of armor, which is not ballistic, is also considered armor.
Mhm.
Quite directly. So it is. So this becomes a little frustrating because it either is or it isn't. Right?
Yeah, because I've seen people, when showing off their armor, others are responding back with, well, in our faith, that's not considered actual armor, even though, and then it just becomes like a dysfunctional of like what is and what isn't information, which is why I've always personally been adamant of the three protection from three types of life-threatening injuries of blunt force trauma, slashing lacerations, and puncture projectile injuries. So long, to me, one, so long as it's been historically used as armor, as the material goes, I don't see why it shouldn't be considered armor, because most of the time that protected from um, most of the time blunt force trauma and slashing laceration. Because not everywhere in the world will a Levone go, and ballistics is going to be the protection that's needed. I'm not going to be in the UK and worrying, oh, do I have my ballistics vest on me because I may run into to a threat when ballistics isn't a threat over in the UK. I'm more likely to get bludgeoned over the head or stabbed than shot.
Hey, we might actually get a swordfish in here.
Yeah, it just gets a little bit kind of whiplashy, I find, on some things. And this is just a growth pattern of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
But,
welcome in, swordfish.
what's up? Yeah, one thing is said, and then another thing is kind of like said against it, but somehow it still applies. It's really confusing.
Hey, I'm going to jump in a few minutes. I understand people want to ask some questions. I'm just in the middle of working at the moment, so give me a few minutes and I'll jump in here.
All good.
All right.
All right. Good one.
Appreciate it.
Hey, sometimes all you gotta do is ask.
Hey.
I told you guys it would be swordfish.
You're not wrong. Thank God we didn't
I
place.
kinda had
Thank
a
the
feeling.
spirits we didn't place any bets on that one.
Hey, I would have been richer that way.
I know. He was actually the first one that replied on the message post, so you would have won double.
Might have been able to make enough on that bet and that you could have rented a shop
Right.
for like a year. By the way, I do hope you can get your operation up and running again.
So actually a little bit on mine. Sorry, not to steal thunder away from Kando. I purchased a color printer last night. Should be here sometime tomorrow. So I'll be able to actually make color stickers.
Nice.
Nice.
Not just the the singular color cutout that I've been posting. So hopefully I might be able to start getting some of that, and I might donate some of the proceeds to the faith.
Some of the
Online
profit.
Urge. I think the day after, we actually went through the garage and rearranged some stuff because we're trying to get the deep freeze up and running. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, the deep freeze isn't working, but we have more space to maneuver. But still no working room yet.
Well, I hope you get there sooner than later because I know it's something you want to get back to.
Yeah, because I want to actually start working on the steel armor.
That'd be cool.
I would really like to have that done before summer. That way, go to cons. I can actually go to these cons and whatnot and not have to worry about, oh shit, a piece of my armor fell off. It's, oh, how the hell did that fall off?
Mhm.
Going in steel armor, less likely to break.
This is true.
Just don't stand by any big magnets.
And I also just want my armor. Because I would be that guy, and there's nothing against the freaking policy at my work that says I can't wear armor at work.
So I gotta ask, what do you do? Because this whole idea intrigues me now.
Forklift operator.
I don't see why you couldn't. That would be hilarious to watch.
You
I
you
don't know
have
why.
to joust with your forklift though.
We try, but there's too many cameras.
I'm sorry, but I know the material that he works with, and that would be fucking hilarious because that's possible.
Yeah.
Material I work with.
What?
I work with pipe.
I know.
Like,
That's why I said that would be fucking hilarious because I know the material you work with.
Black steel, Schedule 40.
Oh,
I'm in pipe yard now. I'm only deal with pipe. I don't. Well, I guess I deal with.
you deal with laying pipe every day?
No, I deal with pulling pipe.
He's an order selector.
No, yeah. Basically, I sit on a forklift all day. But the funny thing is, I could walk in to work with armor, and no one would question it because they know me.
Yeah.
Now see with
They know that is a thing that can and will happen with me there.
I just can't wait to see pictures that like don't come through our server. You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean the random people taking pictures of him.
Yeah, but other folks in the work site, and then they post it to their social media, and then folks from their social media post it.
You'll see it on Facebook.
It can go viral. Yeah, it can go viral. It's one of those things that people wouldn't be expecting. Well, for me, the game is to see how long it takes for me to see the same pictures you show me, but from different sources.
Y'all doing well?
we are doing great.
Excellent.
I'm glad to read that you're starting to do better, sir.
Well, when you start your own business and it crashes and burns and you're completely ruined financially,
Ooh.
it causes a
Been there.
little hiccup in your life. So,
Yeah.
there's that.
But like the saying is, you just gotta pick yourself up and learn.
Oh, I'll fucking learn from it. Jesus, Christmas.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear your voice, I think the guy from Iron Man.
Oh, Obadiah.
Yes, Obadiah Stane. That. Thank you. I couldn't remember the character's name.
So what were you trying? I got caught up in the big internet collapse in the 2000s with my company, so I kind of get what you're saying. I still haven't been able to recover credit wise.
Oh, no. I recovered shit, dude. I had to, I blew through fucking $15,000 plus and $16,000 in credit card debt, and I lost so much shit. But fuck it. You start over and you move fucking forward, and that's the only fucking way. Moving
Well, sure.
forward.
This is the way.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
mean, even with that failure, you learn some lessons, right? So if you chose to do it again, it's a good problem.
So Byron,
I don't know if I'm going to do it again. I might have a
Oh,
side
fair enough.
hustle, but I'm not
Fair
sure I'm
enough.
going to go out on my own again.
My lesson was taking my ego out of it and being more open to like changing things like a name, to be more market friendly. That was a big one that did us. We could have had investors and like professionals within the industry still.
So Byron, the topic. I don't know if you're familiar with the layout of the podcast, but we do a 10 in a month, 12 months,
Sorry about
12
that.
tenants. Oh, you're fine, dude. I figured that was the gang plates and doors I was hearing. Uh,
Yeah,
and this
there's
being
someone coming through one of the hatches.
yeah. So this being October, month 10, we are doing Tenet 10, which is a Mandalorian must remain loyal to the Way and their brothers and sisters of the Way.
All right. Well, I'll give you an update just because you put it in the other chat. We are going to start back. It will be soon. It's not going to be right away, but we're going to start back. We've got absolute metric ton of stuff written for policies, procedures, doctrine, scripture, so on and so forth. Substantial of it, amount of it needs to be edited. We're still writing other items. Still, some things need to be written. So we're working towards it, and we're trying to get it out. And we wanted to have it out a lot sooner than this, but
Life happens.
Yeah,
people's
life gets in the
schedules and
way.
life, and yeah. So,
I.e.,
um,
hopefully I can get this one edited pretty quickly because we do have updates in it now. So instead of, I might, I think, how many episodes do I have? I think I've got the month of September. So
Have you had any luck with any of the volunteers?
no, I haven't had anybody step up and volunteer to help editing. But I've got episodes 15 and 16, so the two from September and then this one. I
Oh,
got
okay, so
I
you're
got
almost.
August finished a couple nights ago. I haven't posted that one, but it is edited and ready to post. I just need to get off my lazy shebs and do it.
Do we know?
Do it. Do it now.
Do it.
Yeah, that sounds perfect when Zell does it because he's got the echo.
Right.
Oh, am I echoing that bad?
A little bit.
It's not too bad, but we can definitely tell you're inside a area that has no sound dampening.
Definitely tell you're in a tin can.
But yeah, thank you for coming in and giving us at least a little bit of update.
yeah, you're welcome.
Realize there won't be specifics, but hey, even just that little bit helps.
Yes, it does.
Uh, any timeline that we are looking at for anything to come out?
um, no, we have no timelines whatsoever because we haven't even specifically sit down and talk about, okay, what do we want to do here? What do we want to do there? And part of the problem is that, as is in anything, most especially items that feed into one another, you start working the problem, and then the problem expands because now you're working this angle. Or what we forgot about, we got to work this over here. Well, this ties into that. Okay, so we can't. Should we release this now? Because we haven't finished this up over right. So it's back and forth,
Right.
back and
Okay.
forth.
Hadn't thought about
So
that.
as much as we continue to work on and move forward and discuss the tenants and the tenants and the expanded portion and the more in-depth writing of the tenets. Because we have the 12 and you have the explanation of what the tenet is. And one of the things that we've done is taken the time to go in and do an expansion on that explanation section, right?
Right.
Give a more in-depth study of it, if you will. That's probably not
Flesh
the
it out.
cool. That probably is a better choice of words. Yes, more fleshed out, more depth of meaning and level of understanding.
Give it a
Um,
few. Give it a few pages instead of a few sentences.
correct. And um, we've got that for the most part done. The expansion of the 12. Um, that uh, that really just needs to be set down and worked on and edited, and we could release that. It's just we're apprehensive of doing that because we don't feel it's enough. We want to give more. We want to provide more. Everybody's been so patient and understanding and accepting and things of this nature. So we really want to give more, but at this point in time, we can't. Um,
Right.
uh, and then, okay, so I'm going to touch on this. I'm going to briefly touch on it, and then we're going to go on about it. The whole clan structure is just we're not we we know what we want. We know what we're looking at. We know what we've written, but we're still trying to figure out how we're going to incorporate that into who and what we are, so that we don't have um, fracturing or secular divide or anything of that nature amongst those that walk our path, because we understand that there are multiple organizations and individuals that follow the fictional way of life. Now, the difference
Right.
between them and us is the fact that we, as an organization, as not recognized, please excuse me, wrong choice of words, as a we're not recognized with the federal government, but we are recognized through the IRS with our 501c3 as being a religious organization, right? So we, as a religious organization, are trying to bring our way of life and make it real. We're trying to take what we have done and we look at the fictional universe and we take from it, we understand it, we learn from it. What's applicable to real life, great. What's not, okay, we'll just leave it where it is in fiction. And then we'll build upon which we have been doing and which we continue to do. But this is us trying to bring reality to what was written in fiction.
Right.
Unlike some other organizations, they want to live and practice the way that they do. And I'm not belittling it by any means, and none of us should belittle it by any means, because that violates the seventh tenet. People are their own individuals, and they are
Right.
permitted to do with as they so see fit, and that's so they wish. And if they don't, we can agree to disagree, but we're not going to fight over it.
Right. We are all Mandalorians.
Correct.
They're much like Christianity has those different viewpoints, or sections. Like you've got Southern Baptists, you've got
You got
Yeah.
Southern
Christianity,
Baptist, you got
you've got the
7 Day
seven. Yeah,
Advent, you've got
it's all
Jehovah's Witnesses,
Catholicism.
you have Mormons. All of these people follow Christ, right? They just follow it
Different
in the
ways.
manner in
Right.
which they so desire to follow it.
Like we all follow the way of Mandalore, but we've got us as the keepers of the way. We've got the group
True
that
Mandalorians.
right. You got the true
Correct.
Mandalorian group. You got the all you bought. You've got all of these different sections, but we all follow the way of Mandalore.
Right.
I mean, to quote
And
Miyamoto Musashi, there are more than one path.
There
right,
always will
And there
be.
is
There
it's
always will
just the
be.
way that we follow it is we adapt it to our real life situation.
Correct. Correct. And in adapting it to the real world, making it real world applicable, some things have to be left behind because they don't translate into the real world.
Right, and that was actually an epiphany that I had probably about a month ago. Is I was talking. I don't know if you guys remember, but my brother's dog recently passed away, and me and him were talking about the Mandalorian groups, and the biggest thing that I thought of at that second is exactly what we just talked about. We have real lives versus living lives that were created in a fictional universe.
Correct. Correct.
And that was just a weird way to just be standing around and just like, huh. It is just that huh moment. And it just
Eureka.
all clicked into place for me right there.
Well, and isn't it very interesting to have those moments when something just finally clicks?
Right. And
It's
especially in a
just
moment like that Ahyan moment, where we're memorializing, but we're also celebrating and we're thinking.
right. Exactly. Exactly. But I've had many an epiphanal style moments in my life, and that's when things have started to change for me because you're going one way, you're walking one way, you're thinking one way, and then all of a sudden you see something different, understand something different. It, take for instance a teacher, an instructor in whatever it might be, whether it's martial arts or
Right.
um, you go take a gun class or you're working a problem, whatever the problem might be, um, and somebody says, "Hey, I do it this way," or "Hey, try and look at this from this perspective," and you're looking at it this way, and you're tunnel visioned on it, quote unquote, and you finally stop, take a step back, and look at it from their perspective, and then it's like, ah, I get it
Right.
now.
Now, how many of those moments were in the shower?
Isn't that interesting that you have a lot of I mean I do it myself or a lot when I'm driving. Those are the two big places that
Yeah,
it's
you gotta
like,
be careful when you're driving though, because if you're distracted by that, and next thing you know, 10 minutes goes by and you're on a different street than you had started out on.
All right, you mixed your exit. And,
oh yeah. Been there, done that.
no, it's the solitude.
It
It's
is
you're
the
alone. You have time to think. You have time to process. It's important.
very
Right.
good point.
The biggest one for me, and to this day, I still don't know how I survived this. I was going to my 8 o'clock morning college class, which was about almost an hour drive away from me, and this entire stretch of road, I don't remember how I even turned on to it. It's at least a 10-minute period where I'm just like, okay, I'm driving. Next thing I know, I'm snapping out of it. I'm just like, the Shab? How? I don't
I've been
remember.
there.
I don't even remember turning onto this road, but I was there.
Just autopilot.
Yeah, I was so in deep in autopilot. I don't even remember. Maybe I was on the correct road, and I was probably about halfway down the road to where I was going to my next turn. And I'm just like, how the hell did I get here?
I've done that coming home from work.
Yeah, I was just about to say when I was working 16s, I used to do that a lot. I'd just black out
Yeah,
and
that early in the
be
morning, it's
going.
just like, how did I not have a wreck?
Yeah.
Because that's a busy stretch of road at the time that I was on it. Because everybody was heading into work, and that was the direction, that was the side of the road that people were on going into work. Hey, Julia, I did not see you jump in, ma'am.
I just got here.
I know, and I was looking over. I was like, wait a minute. Hello.
Yeah, she just popped in.
Yeah. Hello, Julia.
Didn't know y'all were having a meeting.
Yeah, we've
I
actually got a
I've been
lot
here
of
since
people
I
in
knew you
here
were
this
here.
week. I like this kind of turnout. Not a lot of editing I'm going to
So
have to
what's
do
today's
this
topic?
week.
What's the
Topic is
topic?
Tenet 10, remaining loyal to our fellow Vode.
Okay, I got it.
And we even got some updates from Mr. Iron Bear here. So, really great week this week.
Iron Bear? Who's Iron Bear?
One of our
My
board
name is
members.
yes.
Who?
One of
I'm
the
one
true
of your
Allure.
5 board members of the religion.
I put out
okay.
a call to answer in the Facebook group, and they're like, all right, we'll jump in, try to answer some questions.
Good. The more the merrier.
Right. Usually there's only like 4 of us in here, and we got 2, 4, 6, 8 people in here this week. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, what was that?
Action-packed podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, we've actually been going for an hour now, and I don't know how much I'm going to have to edit out of this. There's a little bit at the beginning of Dead Space.
Well, probably my foul mouth because, well, you know.
You ain't cursed any more than we usually fucking do, anyways.
Right.
And I post the podcast as explicit, so there ain't no shit there.
Oh,
Someone probably walking through a hatchway.
yeah. So I have to figure out what my thread pitch is
Yes,
on my
that's
Remington
exactly what it
870.
was.
Oh, now
Sorry
he's in the
about
shitter.
that. No, I'm still in the same spot. Actually, going to try going outside. Hopefully, the wind's died down, so it's not like wind
So
tunnel
Navy
effect.
Boy still hasn't left the closet.
No.
And it was right as he muted himself, too, so he probably tried to answer.
No. So what else do we have? Do we
You
have any more
presume I was ever
questions?
in the closet, sir?
Even
Yeah,
better.
he was very loud and proud to begin with.
Zell, did you have any language you wanted to post, or was the translation of the Tenet all you had?
As of right now, the translation of the Tenet was all I was able to
Okay.
get.
So I think next podcast we'll do a strictly lesson. We'll do a little, not much. We can actually talk more about this Tenet besides what we've done today. So hopefully, Julia, Zell, myself, we can get together sometime in the next week and a half and plot out a language podcast.
That would be cool.
where we will only do language.
I might be able to help with getting something put together prior to it, but I can't give no guarantees because we are about to be doing some training this week. So
Right?
I will
No,
be
I get that,
busy and unavailable for the week.
we've got 2 weeks until the next session, so
I don't know if this training will be done in time or if it'll be prolonged. It all depends on how long the aviator heads up top take to get their quals done.
you'll be gone for about a month then.
No, not that long. We're slated for only a week, but who knows?
Right? Whether
People with their heads in the clouds and all that.
yeah, I get what you mean.
To break the lofty bounds of Earth.
I know, right?
Uh,
And you
The
never
one
have to
thing
ask them
that,
if they're aviators; they'll tell you.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like a vegan and a CrossFitter. Just
yeah.
wait 5 minutes; they'll tell you.
Like, what do you
5
do for
minutes.
work?
Damn.
Oh, I'm a recycler. Oh, I'm a pilot.
hmm
Yeah.
One thing I just like to end on with a reminder when it comes to this tenant, and the topic today was once again, all are equal under the helm. Nobody is superior to another, regardless of whether they follow the way or not. They are still to be treated as equals, regardless of position or seeing how long they've been amongst the faith or not. Everybody is the same.
Right.
Well, on that note, isn't it interesting how we wrote the tenets and how one feeds into the next and feeds into the next and feeds into the next, and they all revert back to one another and they feed off of each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, with your statement right there, you just picked up tenet 12, do not isolate. You also picked up tenet 7, so on and so forth. So, those are just some examples. And in remaining loyal, yes, you're remaining loyal not only to yourself, your faith, your own words, your own actions, you taking your own time to educate yourself, train yourself through both education and physical fitness, um, your dietary habits, um, your cardio, which I don't do enough of because I hate it.
You're not
Um,
the only one, sir.
but
Bad knees, man.
I'll go to the gym every single day and I'll move tons of weight. But anyways, um,
I'm cruising at
one
4 kilometers an hour.
say that
Doing pretty
again.
good. I'm cruising at 4 kilometers an hour, which isn't too bad. It's really 4.5.
um, but yes, one feeds upon the other, upon the other, upon the other, and it was designed that way. Um, and remaining loyal is not only holding each other accountable for the things that either they do or they fail to do, but you in turn, you need to be held accountable for the things that you do. And a lot of the times, I'm just going to make a fitness reference because it's very easy for me because I spend so much time in that realm. Is that a lot of people will start their fitness journey, and 3 weeks in, they're like, "Fuck it, I don't see any changes, and nothing's happening." Blah 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 blah. Blah. Well, okay, get a trainer, get a friend who's actually where you want to be, and have them hold you accountable. We all need those things, unless you are obscenely disciplined like myself, but I'm obscenely disciplined because of my upbringing and because of my time in the Marine Corps. they beat this kind of thing into you. So
Mhm.
you can hold yourself accountable. And I'm always trying to reach the next level. So I'm very, very hard on myself because I want that next level. I want that next thing. I want this. I want that. And this is applicable not only to my fitness journey, but my life in and of itself. And I knew when it was time to call it quits. I called it quits in my life, moved on, changed, restructured, and now I'm moving forward once again because I had stalled and stagnated and things that fell apart. So you've got to understand these things. And then when somebody needs help, such as we have keepers that are up just a couple hours from me and in my state, and don't I won't get on my soapbox, but we have other keepers within the organization that I spoke to this morning that are getting on the road and headed here to help and deliver supplies to keepers that are up here in my state who are helping other people within the Appalachians that have been utterly devastated by the hurricane. So loyalty is not just to X, Y, and Z. It's also we need to help each other when each other needs help, and you've got to not be too proud to ask for the help because you're not remaining loyal to yourself if you're drowning and your brothers or sisters could help you, whatever it might be, a phone call, financial, stand by your side, walk through problems with you, whatever it might be. These are all facets within this tenant um, in being loyal. So these things expand and go outward as you start to look at it because there's a lot of times that we get tunnel vision, hyper focus. We only see this as one small thing. And then when you start looking at it from other perspectives, you see how much it can actually grow and how it's actually a bigger picture than what you thought it was.
I mean, sometimes also being loyal isn't always going with the curve. You know what I mean? Sometimes they see a
No,
problem and you say something to be loyal. You know what I mean? If you don't, you're doing a disservice and you're disloyal.
well, see, that's the whole thing about it, and that's a fantastic point, and that goes even more into the point that I'm making. In order to be, if I know you're fucking up, and I don't say anything, I'm doing you, myself, and everyone a disservice. Right? It's not calling you out on your bullshit. It's just like, hey, I've seen this. Do you? Because you may not recognize that you're doing it.
Hmm.
There are things that I've done in my life, and I have people around me, and I'm doing things. And hey, do you realize you're doing this? No. Am I? Yeah, you are. Thank you for pointing that out. Now I know where I need to make a course correction. So you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right that is a form of loyalty in saying, hey, you're fucked up, and here's why.
I've actually got a really good term for that. My general manager pointed this out around the workplace, and it's situational blindness. You're so used to being around these things that you don't even see it anymore.
Correct.
Like, for example, around our work area, we deal with failed material. So we see wires on the ground all the time that have busted. And we're just so used to seeing it now that we don't even write it as a near miss or even pick them up. But the next thing you know, they're wrapped around a forklift tire, and you're wondering where that came from. You saw it, but you didn't see it.
Correct. That is
Another
a very
example
good
can
point.
be another example is in your household. You're so used to where everything is placed that if something is just slightly off, when you walk into the room, it's like something's not right here, or God, or
Or you
God
end
forbid
up
you
banging your
oh
baby toe on on a chair because it moved 3 inches.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, where did that come from?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a swordfish back.
Oh God, this guy, great.
Run, Dirge, run!
I ain't run from no one. He's talking to a man who carries his own toe tag in his wallet.
I'm back.
We see that.
Welcome back.
Hide your stuff.
Hide your wife, hide your kids. It's swordfish.
Yep. I've got to figure out how to get hold of this place.
That toe tag comment's 100% true. I could show you right
So we got a pretty good update from Iron Bear Byron a little while ago, but anything you would like to
Okay.
add would be great.
If he gave it to you, that's probably where we're at because we're both working on it. So,
And that's pretty much what he said.
Yep. So,
Didn't need specifics, so just knowing that things are being worked on is the update we need.
yeah, it is. It is. There's just, it's like I was saying, the other day on the Discord. It's everything is tied in. Like you can't just work on one thing and not the rest because it's all the same. So,
And that is 100% what he said too. You'd be working on 10 and 12, and the next thing you know, you're back to 10 and 10, and then you're going back to 10 and 7, back to 10 and 12 again because new angles popped up.
Right, and that's the thing is we've got our tenants. They work on a lot of different aspects of life, and it's really hard for us to just, okay, we're going to work on a tenant X, and it has to do with this, but also it has to do with that, and it has to do with this and that, and blah blah blah, and on and on,
And
and
then
it's
a year
like, well,
later, you're back to this one
and
again.
then exactly, something comes up, and we got to think about this or what have you. So yeah, it's just a thing, it takes time, and it's needed. I mean, honestly, it's really needed. Us having a concrete presence, especially right now, in North Carolina, would be great.
Right.
But it's just so hard for us to do. We're so spread out.
Right, and
But
I think Dirge put it best earlier: is we're still in our prenatal form when speaking as a religion.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, we're like 3 or 4 years old, years wise, but for a religion, that's you might as well be 2 or 3 days old.
Well,
Right.
Come December will be 5 years, but you're correct.
That's
but
still
we're in such a juvenile state. It's ridiculous, and the things that we believe and hold dear clash with the laws of the land, and so we will have to find some sort of happy median if we're ever going to be officially recognized.
right.
And the problem is that we're not going to make concessions as other religions have to bend to government will, like the Sikhs.
There's that good.
There are some groups, like, they don't have the most favorable reputation, but there are some groups who do hold true to similar values. At least when it comes to like the bearing of firearms or other weapons as a holy relic and stuff like that. Not sure how they get away with it, but there are a few precedents in your country for such things. It's just going to be that, as you said, fine dance to figure out where it all works.
Yeah, our biggest issue is that, by and large, for the vast majority of people, just they don't think like we do. They don't want to have responsibility for themselves. They don't want to have responsibility for their own well-being. we grow up in fat and happy here in the United States where everything is right there at our fingertips, and don't understand, there are so many things that you shouldn't wait for some, for instance, in a situation where someone breaks into your home and you need to defend yourself, right? What do? Do you call the police and ask somebody you don't know, that you've never met before, hey, come die for me, even though I don't know you, because you take my money?
Right.
Well,
I mean,
then
you're not paying.
11 to 15 minutes later, they might respond in time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing. All the time aside, I mean, from a moral standpoint, they are taking your money and paying it to whoever, really. So it's, we say, oh, well, you work for us because we're paying taxpayer dollars. You're not paying anything. It's taken from you, for one. So for two, I don't know you and you don't know me. And for you to call me at random and say, I need you to come put your life on the line to protect me because I pay your tax dollars. No, it's your responsibility to be responsible for your own well-being, and that's just a fact. It's our responsibility as people, period, uh, to be responsible for our own well-being, and that's there again. That conflicts with the vast majority of people's view of, like, people have a really strange view of the world. Like, the world's supposed to be this wonderful, peaceful and utopian society where everything is. Well, no, that's not how it works. This is why people would ask me about uh, before they don't. I don't really get this question as much anymore, but people ask about violence and stuff. I'm like, well, violence isn't in and of itself uh, evil, right? It's a fact. It's just like gravity, right? I tell them it's just like gravity. Gravity, electricity, anything that happens, violence is something that happens. Our planet was born in violence. Our solar system was born in violence. I mean, what we conceive of as violence is just a constant in the universe. The question is
I've seen in Starship Troopers, by the way, the classroom.
what's that?
Like Ironside in the Starship Troopers in the classroom. This is what this reminds me of.
Oh, well, maybe. But,
A little bit.
But to expound on
it's
Eric's,
like,
Yeah, but
well,
Starship Troopers was about fascism. We're not fascists, as far as I know.
right. Yeah, well, Starship
right
Troopers
now,
was definitely a satirical look on what we would conceive of as fascist governments, and what we wouldn't even think of as fascist. It's like what's that? The Helldivers. Same
Yeah,
thing. Helldivers is
controlled
literally Starship
democracy.
Troopers. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you can see that, and this is kind
You are
of
roboting
today. We
pretty
have
pretty
people that
bad
call
there.
democracy what it is. I am out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Give me
well,
just a minute.
I
Is it
want
better?
to I want to
it got
expound
a little
on
bit better.
Eric's
Yeah.
I want to
Sorry,
expound on
Byron.
Eric's point here is that yeah, if we're at home and we're defending ourselves from a threat, but yet our fourth tenant tells us that we as individuals within our own religion are supposed to defend those who refuse to defend themselves and also are incapable and are innocent of defending themselves, which would be, whatever facet that looks like. So instead of us having to call someone and ask, we just take it upon ourselves to do these things because we know it's the right fucking thing to do, not only to care for
Right,
ourselves and our loved ones, but people who are inept or incapable of taking care of themselves.
Right.
We take this massive, unholy, massive responsibility upon ourselves to do this as a religious organization, as individuals who have sworn the creed that we as a religion have written. You swear that you will defend those who can't or won't defend themselves. And I don't need to request some revenue collector to come and defend me. I'll take care of that shit myself. Now, are we going to have legal ramifications afterwards? Unfucking fortunately. But for now, that's society we live in.
our
Yeah,
goal should be to change that society over time.
Agreed.
You know,
Here, here.
from within, really. You know, and that's all this is to say. You know, as far as the question asked, you know, uh, this is the stuff we have to deal with. This is what we're talking about right now. Is exactly what we're having to deal with as we write this, because everything that we write here for us is meant to be the bones of something greater, right? It's supposed to be the foundation upon which something greater is built.